Tomorrow marks 3 years since the deadly wildfires swept through the town of Lahaina on the island of Maui. The fires consumed thousands of structures, killed 102 people, and destroyed an important site of Hawaiian history. Today, hundreds of homes have been rebuilt, and permits for hundreds more have been approved. But as Stephanie Tsai reports, many of Lahaina's residents remain in limbo.
I'm still living out of a suitcase, 3 years going on, so it's exhausting.
Charles Nahale is among the hundreds of Maui fire survivors still receiving temporary housing assistance from FEMA. He's had to move 7 times since the fires.
One of the times they just came knocking on my door, "You gotta leave today." What? I didn't get any notice I'm supposed to leave today. Yeah, you have to leave today. And that poor brother, he lost his home too. He was a security, I think, for the property. We both
After the fires, disaster officials struggled to house the 12,000 Maui residents who were displaced overnight. Most were renting, or like Nahale, living in multi-generational homes. Soon, many may be uprooted again. FEMA recently sent letters to survivors informing them it would be increasing their rent for the second time this year in an effort to compel them to find permanent housing.
I don't know how people are going to afford it because they're asking for a lot.
His work as a musician, which depends on tourism, hasn't bounced back, and he's still waiting on his share of a $4 billion settlement for victims.
After the fires, many feared that with Maui's soaring rents, the high cost of rebuilding, and gaps in insurance payouts, many of Lahaina's longtime residents simply might not be able to stay.
Maui has one of the highest costs of living in the United States, and the average cost of a single-family home is over $1 million.
Our main goal is to keep our people home and bring our people home to allow them to have housing, whether it's a long-term rental or a purchase.
Richard Bisson is the mayor of Maui County. After the fires, the county and the state built temporary housing across the island. It's now secured federal funding for permanent housing solutions for survivors, like Charles Nahale, who applied for a first-time homebuyer subsidy.
I'm not really sure what would happen if I can't afford the rent and the programs aren't, let's say they say I don't qualify. Then I guess I'll have to really look into what I'm going to have to do to survive.
Survival for many has meant leaving Maui. Since the fires, more than 3,400 residents have moved off the island. With FEMA assistance due to run out altogether in February, the county acknowledges it's up against the clock.
We are moving as quickly as we can. I don't know that we can ever move quick enough in any setting.
More than 50% of the population of Native Hawaiians now don't live in Hawaii.
Stemming the flow of locals leaving Lahaina is urgent to many here, like Native Hawaiian conservationist Carolyn Aweloa.
We will lose the character of our place, we'll lose our identity, we'll lose the people who love this place so much, know it intimately, from the way the winds blow, the way that the currents move, the way that the fish come in season, everything about Lahaina. We can't lose that. We can't.
She co-founded a nonprofit, the Lahaina Community Land Trust, to try and protect longtime residents affected by the fires from getting priced out in the rebuilding boom.
The fire pretty much took all of the housing here, all of this part of town.
It's raised tens of millions of dollars, including from the county, to buy lots in the burn zone, build houses, and sell them at more affordable prices to locals.
When you buy a community land trust home, you're committing to owner occupancy, you or your family, and it ensures that this home will always be forever affordable.
While housing construction has begun in earnest, the historic town's commercial core is still hollowed out.
Lahaina was an economic engine, generating $70 million a month in revenue. 20% of the island's businesses were located here, and 8,500 workers were employed.
At this point, there's been no rebuilding, as you can see.
Warren Freeland represents a group of more than 70 commercial property owners in Lahaina.
There's been a mix of emotions over the past few years, between disappointment and hope and frustration. And everybody that I've talked to, without exception, wants to just rebuild what they had before.
His family has owned land where the Pioneer Inn sat in Lahaina for generations. Only the anchor in front of the building survived the fire.
The original building that was built by my great-grandfather in 1901, the original Pioneer Hotel, was right here in this site.
State laws and county codes for new commercial builds have led to lengthy permitting holdups for these historic properties. But Freeland says the logjam is starting to loosen.
There were some laws that were changed that were followed by directives from the mayor, and without those directives, there would not be a path forward.
But other new legislation may be holding the economy back, at least according to Maui's many short-term rental owners.
There's no guarantee that a single house will be made affordable or attainable to residents, but what it does guarantee is that we are going to see harm to the economy and jobs and residents.
Caitlin Miller represents the island's short and midterm rental owners, most of whom live out of state.
Motion carries.
In December, the county passed a controversial housing measure aimed at phasing out 6,000 short-term rentals and getting them back into Maui's housing stock.
Are we going to continue to sit and not do anything? Or are we going to make that bold move, make that change in order to house our people?
A University of Hawaii study estimated that the policy would decrease visitor spending on Maui by $900 million and lead to the loss of 1,900 jobs. In June, the measure was wound back to about 2,000 units.
Do you think that there's validity to the argument that somehow these vacation homes are taking away housing from locals?
I think what we have to come back to is that right now, with the fire and the rebuilding, the focus should be on rebuilding and streamlining permitting and making it so that we continue to build more housing for locals versus taking away housing that was already here that's being used to benefit the community in other ways.
As Lahaina's community grapples with how to build back, Maui's mayor Richard Bisson summed up how many feel on this somber anniversary.
People on a daily basis experience grief and gratitude, often at the same time. They're thankful for this, and then they also are grieving something that's happened.
The county recently helped throw a reunion, flying more than 100 displaced residents back to Maui. It was supposed to be a homecoming. But for many survivors, like Charles Nahale, it's uncertain whether they'll still have a place in its future.
That's seeming like a far-fetched dream more and more.
For the PBS News Hour, I'm Stephanie Tsai in Maui, Hawaii.